separated from people. Everyone playing the game is all playing in the same play space, apparently using some fancy new tech. We'll see if that does not end up in a lot of terrible lag and rubber banding. Who knows? Maybe they'll solve the issue. But beyond those MMO elements and like the fact that they've got RPG inspired progression and leveling, it is a survival game through and through with all of the genre's expected systems and features. So here's a streamlined overview of what we know about the game so far. You're going to start off by picking out from 1 of 4 character classes. Each come with a baseline combat role and skill that you have access to. Although this is something that as you progress through the game, you'll be able to pick and choose whatever you want from any of the class skill trees. This is just your starting point. The intro tutorial, beyond taking you through the basics of combat, gathering, and crafting, also introduces you to the game's spice mechanic, which is essentially a form of magic in the Dune universe, at least how they're implementing it here in this game. In the opening hours, you're going to be spending your time clearing small enemy camps, constructing your very first base, visiting trading hubs with NPCs, and also other players will be around, and you'll be exploring the game's various points of interest either by yourself or with a group, doing things like participating in world events and seeing the things that there are to see. Those things will include, you got larger enemy outposts that are tucked away in many of the rock islands all among the planet's surface. Go in, clear a whole bunch of enemies, collect any loot that they drop, open up some chests. You got crashed ships that will fall from the sky, rewarding valuables should you happen to scavenge them before anyone else does. Of course, it wouldn't be Dune without sandworms. They are there, a constant threat as you are out in the open, and the TLDR of this is the more noise you make while walking on the sands or driving on the sands or doing anything on the sands, the more attention that you draw, eventually causing a worm to erupt from the sands and then chasing you down. These can and will kill you if they catch up to you. You got enemy police forces that scan the planet's surface at night. In these patrolling ships with their massive spotlights, if you happen to get spotted, they call in reinforcements to try to hunt you down. And then there are the Echo Labs. This is basically the game's take on dungeons, said to be more akin to something like the shelters in Fallout or the dungeons of the Skyrim. They're elaborate underground facilities that bring with them a lot of enemies, elites, and bosses, and a bit more visual variety than what is found in the sands above. Progression through the game is done in a few different ways. You got character progression with the typical RPG systems: kill enemies, complete quests, gain XP, level up in the process. Leveling gives you points to spend in the skill trees, unlocking various active and passive abilities. Then you've got area or zone progression that's actually tied to your level of vehicle advancement. So basically how this works is that the early game, you're in the southern portion of the starter zone called Haga Basin. Here, you're going to be doing everything that we mentioned above as you work towards unlocking the ability to craft your first sand bike. And this is actually required for you to leave that southern area, traversing this large expanse of sand that is only possible on a bike, because otherwise, if you try traversing it on foot, the worm is going to kill you. Once you get the sand bike, or if you can hop onto one of your friends, that lets you leave the southern zone into Haga Basin proper, and this is where a bulk of like the first 100 hours of the game will be taking place. It'll include everything that we've covered as well as a whole lot more. There will be more enemy outposts, more dungeons, more world events, more sandworms, etc., etc. You'll spend a whole lot of time here up until you get to the point of constructing an ornithopter, the flying vehicle, and at that point you can finally leave Haga Basin and enter the endgame zone of the deep desert. This is where you're going to take part in the endgame spice harvesting mechanic, which also comes with large-scale open-world PvP, what they are referring to as combined arms. This is like Battlefield or Planet-side inspired and similar encounters, with a potentially massive number of players engaged in melee brawls, range combat, throwing out skills, tossing grenades, and vehicles, both land and air variety mixed in as well. This
if anybody
really
plays
cool.
it.
However, up until now, we've not really
if anybody
seen it
plays
in
the
action
game,
beyond a
yeah,
few carefully curated
it can do
cinematic
that stuff. But
keyframe
if anybody
clips
plays
here
the
and there.
game,
And all of that is just scratching the surface. Like I said, I could probably talk about this game for hours. I am very much looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to clearing the enemy camps and dungeons. I think I'll really enjoy it. I like their survival mechanics with you having to like avoid the sun and stay hydrated. I like the base building. It seems simple but well done. I like the twist that they have to the Dune universe, like your friend kit backpack or replacing heavy attacks with the slow attacks to pierce shields. I like the environmental stuff, like these massive sandstorms that you're going to have to deal with and get in cover when they come by, or the patrolling security ships. I mean, all this stuff looks looks really great. Now, there's definitely some issues early on. It seems like performance isn't looking too great. I mean, you even saw this in the most
there it
recently released
is.
trailer that just came out earlier yesterday. Other lingering concerns include that there's still a lot of clunkier, like clunky animations, pretty slow looking combat, and yeah, I mean, I want to see more, and I hope they continue to fine tune and improve it. The game certainly clearly has some jank to it and some rough edges, but it is jank that I'm willing to suffer through if the rest of it delivers and is fun, which is what I'm hoping for. Dune Awakening is slated for an early 2025 release, although here we are now in February with no month even nailed down as of yet, so we'll see if they happen to hit that timeline. The highly acclaimed Subnautica is getting a sequel this year, this being the underwater survival adventure game set on an alien ocean world. If you have thalassophobia, though, probably best to avoid this one, which frankly, totally justifiable fear. Like, the ocean is in many ways very terrifying, and that's coming from one of the crazies who...
If the game has a mobile underwater base, I will do it. If it's got like a submarine, if it's got like a big submarine, I will buy Subnautica 2.
Steps onto a board.
I never bought Subnautica 1. I was like, I don't need Subnautica 1. I have Rust or whatever. That's the problem. Rust outdoes all of these stupid ass games. Every time I look at them, I'm like, nah, Rust is better. Nah, Rust is better. Nah, Rust is better. This game is pretty good because it has the freedom of a Rust where you can just build wherever the fuck you want, you know? I don't think you want to build everywhere you want, anywhere you want. Or, well, I don't know. I think you do have to build inside the circles, but that's still really good for an MMO. If you can, like, build anywhere in the world, it's still pretty good for an MMO. And this game is pretty good. Its combat is where it's weak, but you don't know. Maybe they get better at that. Yeah, wow, there's, like, not much else here. I guess I can do these plants. Go up there, I guess. There it is. Oops.
Rides waves, well, knowing that sharks are probably not too far away, but the ocean is scary, okay?
I liked both Abzu as well as I own Abzu. I think, or no, no. Cloud Candy has my copy of Abzu, but I like Abzu. I like Abzu more than I do Subnautica. Subnautica was slow and kind of annoying and a little bit like open-ended for how like annoying it was kind of, and I don't like oxygen based mechanics, kind of annoy me. I was like, you know, a little bit I am like out here. Oh yeah. So I guess I'm chopping stone right now to make more and more base until I can just reach out as far as I possibly can. And I'm liking the base building. If the base building is the real reason to play the game, I'm okay with that. Like if the combat's weak, I'm okay with that. The combat's weak in Rust. I mean, it's not weak with the players, but it is with the PvE. I mean, I guess killing those guards is kind of fun, sort of like Half-Life 2. But it's, you know, it's just really formulaic and it's sort of dumb, and that I wouldn't say the Rust scientists are that fun to fight really. But so yeah, this wouldn't be the first survival game with kind of weak combat, but I mean, I don't mind this combat. It's serviceable. It's not amazing. It reminds me a bit of DDO. A bit. It's weird.
Doesn't matter how much time I spend in it. Now, I only dabbled in the original game, but I was quite impressed with what I saw. As for the sequel, here are some details. The game will be set on an entirely new world with a whole new story. You play as a pioneer exploring a recently discovered distant planet, but something isn't quite right, and you find that out shortly after arriving. The ship's AI, however, insists that you carry on the mission, despite the whole place being legitimately way too dangerous for any humans to survive, but maybe you become More than human, huh? So they're going to offer both solo and online multiplayer co-op with up to 3 friends. You're going to be exploring things like mysterious ruins, building custom bases, and adventuring into the deepest, darkest ravines, crafting various tools to help in your adventure. Beyond the basics, you've got things like a scanner and a flashlight. You also find recipes for more advanced tools, equipment, and even submersibles to travel in. Bases are going to be more customizable with an overhauled building system. They've got more diverse biomes, from towering underwater cliffs to lush coral fields. Many different places to visit, each teeming with its own diverse ecosystem and unique creatures. And there's the entire system of studying creatures, from the smallest fish to the biggest leviathans. You're going to use a scanner to learn basics and a biosampler to study them further, and then taking those discoveries to evolve your own genetics, i.e. powers and mutations. Subnautica 2 is planned to release in the Steam Early Access sometime later this year. Renown is a game that I've seen described as a medieval Rust with chivalry-like combat. Alright, consider my interest piqued. According to its developer, Renown takes the most enjoyable and popular aspects
good, Renown's coming
contemporary
this year.
open-world survival games, which include building, progression, and social politics. These are then combined with close-quarters, skill-based combat to create an immersive and engaging multiplayer experience.
This
So
is
players
what
are
I
gonna
wanted
start out with
Medieval
nothing,
Rust to
gather
be.
resources, and then go on to build a kingdom and fight to survive in hopes of becoming renowned across the lands. I get it. I get the connection. Good job, guys. At its core, Renown is a first-person medieval fighting game with a strong emphasis on competitive skill-based combat, in addition to all of its survival mechanics. Its features include gathering and crafting, of course, along with hunting wildlife. You got base building at a variety of scales, starting with a small shack up into building an entire sprawling fortress. There will be raiding, as you are able to attack and level opponents' structures while engaging in fast-paced PvP conflict. They got group systems for making claims, taking titles, giving ranks, and more. You'll even be able to customize your own clan's colors and emblems. You'll take shelter in safe zones where you can trade with vendors, duel other players, form alliances, or maybe make some foes in general chat. That's always a fun time. There'll be server progression and wipe systems for long-term replayability, starting things over, and they're promising tools for community hosts to help tailor your own servers, with future plans for extensive modability. Now, the game has been in development for a few years now and has been running regular playtest, and from what I've seen online, looks like it's shaping up pretty nicely. They are planning an early access release at some point this year. Looking forward to checking it out. Terminator Survivors is a fairly unique sounding survival game. Whether it is solo or in co-op with up to 4 people, you're going to play as a group of survivors in this open world return to the iconic Terminator universe set in the aftermath of Judgment Day. A nice little glimpse into one of our potentially nightmarish future timelines. It's certainly on the table. So the game takes place 4 years after the day humanity nearly perished. Emerging from a shelter, you're attempting to re-establish some semblance of society, tasked with scouring the surrounding land for materials, information, other survivors, and key resources to build a base of operations for your group. You'll meet iconic characters of the franchise, as well as some original ones, while exploring what they call a meticulously crafted world set in a post-apocalyptic future. Explore the open world, collecting materials and survivors to advance your home base, all while having to avoid the pursuit of an indestructible threat. There is combat with weapons and tools for you to sneak up at close range. However, stealth is often best advised, what with Skynet's machines and scavengers lurking about. And there's going to be a main story questline as you learn more about what happened on Judgment Day and thereafter. I mean, this could be cool. Video games based on popular IPs are always quite a gamble, but I won't knock it until we try it. Terminator Survivors was originally planned to launch actually in 2024, but then last July they pushed the date back, so 2025 is when it's going to be coming, so the last we heard. Okay, so the rest of the games here could possibly come out in 2025, but as of this moment, we've got no confirmation that that's going to happen. So while many of these likely won't release,
well, I get Clan Alter
later,
experience.
there
Cool.
is a possibility that a few of them could get a release date in the coming months and then launch later in the year. Either way, each of these games I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on. Light No Fire is the next big game from No Man's Sky.
Oh, that's coming this
Hello
year?
Games.
Oh, good.
And you can clearly see the lineage with that initial trailer basically looking like No Man's Sky Fantasy Edition. In fact, that starting clip of them swimming and then emerging out of the water, that looks exactly like No Man's Sky to my untrained eye. But hey, I mean, a fantasy spin on that formula.
Is their
especially
combat
if they improve
good?
The combat, which they said they're going to, I will play that. We've got
Yeah.
a few early details on the project. They've said that this game is more ambitious than their last one. fun, despite it taking place on a single planet rather than an entire universe. Their goal here is to deliver much more depth and detail to their explorable space and feel less shallow than No Man's Sky's planet-side exploration. Nevertheless, it's going to be quite large. They've claimed to have built an Earth-sized game.
This might be a
entire
good game.
Planet that's as varied as a universe with mile-high mountains.
I believe in
from
it.
the top of which you will see rivers, canyons, oceans, and continents beyond, all of which can be traveled to and explored. Sean has referred to Light No Fire as, quote, the first real open world, something without boundaries, with us getting some glimpse of that in the trailer. It was also said that everyone is going to be able to play together, alluding to this being a shared world game where you will see other people running around.
I think they're too
Hello
ambitious.
Games says that they want to bring the depth of a role-playing game to the freedom of a survival sandbox with Light No Fire. While the focus of the reveal centered on the scope of the planet, the final game is going to have many traditional RPG features, from character creation, playing through a sprawling fantasy story, gear and progression systems, a variety of fantasy enemies and bosses to take on, and we're even going to be flying around on dragons and other creatures. Look, in spite of the floundering start that No Man's Sky had, we have seen such an impressive level of post-launch support from the studio. That leaves my confidence pretty high on their upcoming game. And again, if nothing else, a fantasy No Man's Sky on a huge planet with dragons and RPG character progression and exploring and dungeon diving, if the combat is actually improved, I will play that without question. Right?
Yeah, I'll buy it.
This is a rather unique fantasy RPG from 2019
Outward
that
2.
I played and thoroughly enjoyed.
Now, Outward 2 I'm excited for, yeah.
Interesting systems that really set it apart.
Little bit of a walking
in their upcoming
sim.
sequel, they will be building upon that while incorporating even more survival
Base
systems
building.
and mechanics. Now, one of the coolest features that I recall from the first game was the simple fact that your backpack was an actual physical item,
Yeah, which
you
sucked.
would load and
I
then pick
hated
up and
that.
put down at your discretion.
Fucking
And you would
so
want to do this for
annoying.
a variety of reasons, given various circumstances. It might sound
Yeah,
silly,
when
but
I
it
think
really
of
stood
when
out
I
to
think of real medieval sim, I think of Outward. I don't think of what's it called? The sequel that just hit. I can't think of the name of the fucking game. Oh, Avowed is pre-purchase now. That's cool. Oh yeah, and Elden Ring Night Rain is starting to come. Well, $40 for that? I'm not gonna buy that. God damn it. Fucking devs. Dead Space is $15 right now, the remake, but I don't like Dead Space very much. I get scared that Soul Mask might be really good. It's getting a really mostly positive rating. It's not like me to miss a game. Never have I known a game to have its integrity held together by a Discord server ran by moderators where all the rules for the game are found. Most of us have Discord these days, but even still it feels tacky. I don't like Discord. Still feels like a beginner's developer's project. Yeah, and that was my fear.
Me at the time and was an interesting consideration while playing through the game. This is also one of those games that firmly plants you in the role of an adventurer traversing a dangerous world. You are not this protagonist ordained and protected by the gods. In fact, the top line description of Outward 2 says, "You are only human and the life of an adventurer is perilous."
Outward
it's
2.
Not just creatures and brigands.
I'm not going to buy Outward 2, and I'll tell you why. It's because I'm not playing Outward 1, and I'll tell you why I'm not playing Outward 1. Because it has water and food and mechanics. Like Rust has that too, but it fits Rust's world a little bit better. Water and food end up being really fucking annoying for my playstyle now, kind of. and it's more of a sim than a lot of these games. Even this one with Henry. What's the game? What's the game with Henry? I can't think of the name of the fucking game right now. What's the name of fucking game with Henry? What's the Henry medieval game? Medieval game Henry, right? Is yeah, type. Yep. What's your problem? Go. Yeah. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So like yeah, I think of Outward 2 as the real Kingdom Come Deliverance kind of. Although it's sort of weird. It's a little bit more of a like a sim. Definitely a sim. Kind of a sandbox sim. Whereas, I don't know. They're different games, but they're very serial like that, where food and water matters, and how much you have to walk matters, and you have to sleep at night, or bad stuff could happen, that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I like the while in concept, I think that really fits like a co-op couple or like a small group or a family or something like that. But for a solo player, those mechanics, they aren't really fun to experience by yourself. You're like, oh, I'm thirsty again, great, hit the water container, great, how annoying was it to get the water container filled this time? Oh, I'm hungry, great, go into the fucking inventory, eat the food again, great. And I'm actually kind of against that, because like it just feels like busy work to me a little bit. And then you run out of food, so your stamina meter's low, and you die to some Dark Souls mob that you shouldn't have died to, and you lose like 2 hours of work, and that's okay in theory. But and I like the sim aspect of that, and it plays like Rust, which I don't mind. But I'm sort of, oh, I don't know. I struggle with what's missing, but there's something missing from it. There's something about like, so there's something about living in the world that's missing from it, and
The brand new
I'm
hunger,
not really sure what it is.
illness, and the elements are all part of your journey.
Yeah, there it is, and that's all. That stuff's all well and good. When you're focused on just that game, and you're playing just that single player game, and you're in it for a single player experience, and you've got it on your PlayStation or something like that. Those mechanics are really fun. They really are. But when you're playing games like me with like 3 to 5 open, and you're like popping from each one to each one, those mechanics are really bad, and it's actually starting to affect how I play certain modern games. Like, I'm going to skip Dune, which is not something I would normally do. I bought everything Funcom has ever done, but I haven't liked anything Funcom has ever done. I bought everything they've ever done, like it's a job or something. They've gotten some $500 off me or something like that. Funcom, I definitely have my best friend by Age of Conan. And then the survival game, I bought Conan Exiles on both the PC and the PlayStation 4, and I don't like that game. I don't think they're that good at making survival games. I think they lean way too much towards Ark, and way less like Rust. And I don't know. I struggle, and I know that Dune just isn't going to be my game. Now, it might be a really good game, but the minute that I hear performance problems or heat issues, like, honestly, everybody's like, oh, sandworm, and they have their whole sandworm thing. But honestly, every game that's had a sandworm has been a fucking ripoff. Like, New World was not a ripoff, but I think a lot of people did view it as that. Like, millions of people bought New World, but only like I think like 300,000 people hung around or something like that, and that's weird. And I think so the community kind of views New World as a ripoff. They promised a sandworm. Fucking Star Citizen promised a sandworm. They can't do it. So this game might bring a sandworm. That's cool, and that really triggers the imagination of young players and stuff. They're like, ooh, sandworm, look how cool it looks. But the problem is, walking across the sand to go do some mundane ass thing, like go get some water, and you aggro the worm again. And you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, I'm just trying to walk home. And to me, it just sounds like harassment while you do all their walking sim. Do you understand? And I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, I'm sure it's really fun. And you're supposed to feel like Paul Madib as you side shuffle over the sand, and you walk in weird, shuffly, weird diagonal things to not aggro the worm. But I mean, the worm's gonna aggro anyway because it's a crappy video game. The worm's gonna aggro on an RNG thing. And it's gonna be fucking annoying every time, and you're gonna lose your entire kit, and you're gonna be pissed off. And I'm just not like really that down for it, you know. I'm not really that down for that. Oops, I forgot something. Forgot that I have to sell this ingots. And so, I feel the same way about the Thalassophobia stuff, with the water stuff of Subnautica 2, which is why I might not buy that. Plus, it's like kind of a depressingly lonely single player game. The I don't like Frostcore stuff, like the new winter event in Once Human, or Frostpunk stuff, because you freeze to death all the time, and that's annoying in Rust too. And I don't know, I'm not really too big on those mechanics. It's kind of dumb. I think if you're wearing clothes, you shouldn't be worried about cold. I think if you have a submarine, you shouldn't be worried about air. I think if you have a, and it's weird, if you're a human being, you would bring a submarine. I think if you're gonna do something like Subnautica 2, you're gonna bring a giant ass submarine with a lot of air. And I don't know. I don't know what to do to tell these developers about those survival mechanics that they think are so good, that do add realism, yes, but they're also fucking annoying, and they kill you all the time when you're trying to go about your daily business. If for longer term gamers, it's a shaky premise for me. Water mechanics. I understand good food mechanics and I like them. But I like food more in the style that like Fallout 76 did it, where you do have a hunger meter and you don't really have as much stam when you haven't eaten, and your HP isn't as much. And Mortal did that pretty well too, but it didn't do it as well as 76, where but you just pop a menu and you go, oh, I want a couple of these and a couple of these and a couple of these. You go chop 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 chomp 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 chomp, and you eat like 11 foods and a couple of drinks and a soda or something like that. I like how 76 did food and water. It doesn't really affect you, but if you don't do it, it kind of annoys you. But it doesn't ever burden you in any way. And that's the sort of food and water mechanics I like. I don't want sandworms attacking me every time that I walk on sand. I don't want overheating mechanics when I'm out in the sun. I don't want vampire mechanics like V Rising, where I have to stick to the shadows. Stealth should never be this thing. If you have to engage in stealth, it should snowball loot. It should get you snowball loot, because stealth is sort of boring and it takes a lot of time. You have to crawl around like real slow, up some stairs, and then around some room, down through some door, and then down a hallway, and then down some stairs again, out some window. And that shit takes forever. It takes like 40 minutes, and it is one of the worst forms of like walking sim in games, is stealth sequences. So on paper, those work for me, and they worked really well in Rust, because when you do stealth, it creep around in the fucking meadow, and you can see the dude with the torch or whatever as he's around hunting for the gun he dropped or whatever, and you jump him and you snowball and you come up on a kit and a fucking couple of bows and a nail gun or something. You're like, oh, that stealth was so rewarding. It was so worth the fucking 13 minutes that I fucking spent doing it. And then you die. And that's what sucks about Rust. And then you die, you lose the 13 minutes that you did all that stealthing around trying to get that guy or whatever. But I mean, like, yeah. And so, on paper, stealth works. But like when you actually have to do it in a game that you're playing long form for like 6,000 hours, it starts to get sort of boring. You're like, oh, I gotta move at a quarter speed now again and crawl around on my knees. That's fun, but I mean, like, I don't get this. I don't get the thrill. I'm talking about it from like a 40-year-old gamer's perspective. I don't get the fucking thrill that I used to at all from stealth. Not at all. I played Rogue obsessively for like 7 years, you know what I'm saying? And I just don't get that fucking thrill anymore. I don't get the thrill that I did playing Rogue or for the first time, or like Tenshu or Styx Master of Shadows or any of those. Like I don't get or Metal Gear. I don't get like the Metal Gear rush that I used to out of stealth games. I get tense, and it feels sort of uncomfortable, and I don't want the situation to snowball to like, to explode into something that I can't control, so I get fear from it. But I don't like, I don't get the rush that I used to. And that's annoying because then I'm just like, oh, this is sort of like a chore, And so they're like, oh, there's really good stealth sequences, and I'm like, oh, you mean you forced me to crawl around on my knees for 2 hours, is what you mean?
Journey into the vast regions of Arai. But with sufficient preparation, even ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. Your victories will be earned, not handed to you. Dude, I just love it. All right, key features of Outward 2 include a harsh difficulty that rewards preparation and ingenuity, high replay value with multiple branching storylines, constant auto-saving, which
Yeah,
means
like I liked certain elements of Outward. Like for instance, if you want campfires, your ass better go get some wood. How are you going to get wood? You need an axe. Where the fuck are you going to get an axe? Better go read a guide. And that's another thing that I don't like about single player games. They do stuff like that to you, right? And so like, and I'm like, that's cool, but I mean, all I wanted to do was chop some wood. That's all. Okay, when I think camp, I think wood, and then I think axe. Those are 3 words to me. That's about as hard or as simple as it should be. 3 words: axe, wood, campfire. That's it. But instead, it's like, go read some guide to go figure out where to get an axe. Go chop the wood. Go figure out how to make the campfire. Do you have food to cook on the campfire? And that's okay. In a game like Rust, where you can go home to a base, in a game like, and I think there is like a campsite in Outward, and I've been wanting to replay Outward again recently. Definitely, I have the non easy anti cheat version on Steam. Maybe it doesn't. Well, yeah, I can't play the Steam version of Outward or GeForce Now because it'll stop me from playing this game. So I can do a pirated copy of Outward, and I can make a real attempt to play the game. But I know what'll happen. I'll starve to death constantly, over and over and over again, because the game's not meant to be played by somebody like me who's sitting there for 14 fucking hours. It's meant to be played by people who really are just playing that game. They want you to focus on the game, even if it is walking, long ass MMO walking sim like it is in Outward. And I like Outward a lot. I have a high opinion of Outward. I give that game like a 9, but I don't like some of the mechanics. Like I wonder sometimes. I think I have a copy of Outward that you can cheat engine, and you can turn off stuff like food, or at least turn it very low, and that starts to sound more attractive to me, because I don't want to die of thirst and food. Because you understand what happens when you die of thirst and food in that game? You get dragged off like Kenshi. I think Outward's better than Kenshi. It's like the 3D version of Kenshi. I have a higher opinion of Outward than Kenshi. But yeah, when you die in Outward, you don't die. You get dragged off by something, and you end up in some terrible fucking situation where you can't control your outcome because you have a broken limb or a disease or whatever the fuck. You end up as slaves to some bandit faction who work you in their mines or whatever, and then eventually you escape one day, or you fight your way out with like a mining pick, or like, which is unlikely, maybe. But I mean, you got to be a real good Dark Souls player, because yeah, getting out of Outward bandit dungeons but with a mining pick is probably one of the harder things you can probably try to do in 3D gaming or something. It's not easy. So. And so I did. I messed with the copy of Outward that I bought, and it comes with a cheat engine. Actually, I believe it actually does. It comes with its own cheat engine, where they're like, if there's some aspect of the game that you don't like, edit it out. And I do like that ethos and that approach, but I don't know about the walking sim. When I've last played Outward, I turned the run speed up because the walking sim is real. It's fucking real. It's like one of the worst ones out there. The I turned the food and the water off, and I made the difficulty harder, but I turned my damage up, because the real issue with the game is the mobs are bullet sponge, because they're trying to compete with Dark Souls, and they wanted to be like the next Dark Souls or something. And they almost were. They got some real, and you're about to see it this year, just like this other indie game that I just forgot the name of again. Kingdom Come Deliverance, right? Outward 2 will get its big fervor this year, and probably like a 300,000 gamer push for a minute. For a couple of weeks, because Outward 2 does have a stellar reputation, uh, and people do respect that game a lot. And I have a high opinion of it, but I don't like the rule set that the fucking developer made, because it's not my mindset. Now, he's aware of that, because with the Steam version of the game, I think it comes with a cheat engine where he's like, okay, if something about, Outward isn't to your taste, just edit it out, but do play the game. And I do I like coming at it from an ethos like that. Now, that's why I won't play Dune. I can't edit out the fact that if you want to do anything, you've got to be a spice addict, which means that, yeah, if you want to do damage in Dune, you probably have to be a spice addict. I'm terribly sorry, but it is true. That I don't like this mechanic. I know what they're gonna do. I know what they're gonna do. I know what the movies are. I've read those books so many times. If you want to do any real damage, you're gonna have to have spice activated, which is why you're gonna have those PvP wars about spice. So it's this kind of doldrum game where you don't do any damage most of the time, because you don't have spice most of the time. If you, it's and it, when you do spice, it's like breaking scrap to upgrade the damage on your guns, which is kind of crazy. It's like every time you fire at somebody, it uses up spice. I guarantee it. It uses up spice just like scrap. And you literally you spend scrap on doing damage in PvP, which is stupid. It's a stupid mechanic. It's gonna piss off the community already. I know it is. It's gonna piss off the real boys who are like, nah, fuck this. I came here to play this game like Rust. I didn't want to farm spice all day, right? Trust me, and that's what you guys are gonna do. That's what Dune is. The sandworms suck, and they're gonna be too RNG. You're not gonna be able to control it as much as you want it to. It's a walking sim because of the sandworms, and trust me, that booby trap stuff. You saw how well that went over with Stalker 2. Booby traps and long 2 kilometer runs do not a fun game make, and that's exactly what Dune is. It's sandworms harassing you, dudes harassing you. It's a good game, probably, just like Age of Conan, just like Conan Exiles. These aren't bad games. They're playable like Ark. They are playable like Ark. They are builders. They are good, but are they fun? And I would posit that no, dodging booby traps and dudes all day, so you can go farm spice, so you can actually do damage in PvP, while you dodge sandworms. And if you go AFK, you die of thirst, you die of hunger, you die of whatever, and you lose your kit. You bake in the sun. And it's like, at what point do we get to have fun playing a video game? Yes, you have brought all the unpleasant things of survival to the game. Yeah, it's there. But it does it but it's not fun to do. It's not fun to deal with, especially if you're half AFK like me. And that's the other aspect of it that is not their fault. That is not their fault. I'm half AFK. I'm looking for games that I can half AFK. Super simmy survival games like Scum and Rust and even Mortal, kind of, are a little bit harsh on people like me who are there for 14 fucking hours and are half tabbed half the time.
choices or failures. There's dynamic defeat scenarios. We'll keep you on your
Like, I have no interest in playing a game full time anymore. Not really. I'm tabbing from game to game. I'm doing the MMO lifestyle. I'm grinding every single game. I'm farming money like Pussy here, the hardcore player. I'm in X4 with 2.2 million is thinking about buying ships. I'm seeing an enemy satellite, and that makes me a bit nervous or whatever. I'm etc. And I'm playing 4 games here, and it's not like I'm bragging. I'm saying that, Like, you know, I don't want sand dune mechanics and overheat mechanics and thirst mechanics and sandworm mechanics harassing me all the fucking time. I don't want to freeze to death in frost core games. I don't want to die in snow in rust while I'm AFK. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to overheat in sand. I don't want to farm cactus. Well, I do want to farm cactus like New World, but it better pay my wallet. You know, if anything is gonna pay, you know, if I'm gonna chop cactus, it better pay my wallet. You know, I get the feeling that I could sell some stone on this game. I think these nerds will buy wood and stone probably better than New World. New World, they pay shit prices for wood. Complete shit prices. That shit takes so long to get, and they pay shit prices for it because the bots dominate the fucking thing. But just like Mortal, I think I can just name my price on the barrelhead for like whatever I want for this wood. But you know, so you know, I think I am going to look. I got to 26 wood cutting. It's good. I do like the life skills thing. It's this game is more appealing to me than New World is as an old school RuneScape replacer. I think of this game as an old school RuneScape replacer because it's got all of that stuff. It's got all of it. It's got, you know, it even has the pacing of the old school RuneScape. And I mean, it's a little faster. It's a little bit more frenetic, especially the PvP is a lot more like New World. But we're looking for these old school RuneScape 3D games, and I like this game so much more than old school RuneScape. I gotta say, the game is snatching my attention. It's got the New World mechanics I'm looking for. It has the base building that New World doesn't have. I'm starting to think that Quimfall was a really, really, really good game. You know, I do. I'm starting to really see it. I need certain things for certain things. Like I've got to pay an upkeep of old paper wood and stone, so I'm out looking for boulders and birch paper for a clan-sized base that's going to be fucking huge, but I'm going to run it solo, and it'll give me a reason to play the game. Because the fucking combat is not a reason. The getting gear is not a reason. The PvP is not a reason. But the survival aspects of this game and the fact that I can play an MMO and sail a ship from my front door to anywhere in the world like Rust, it's commanded my attention. It's better than we usually get. It's got the freedom of fuck it, I'll do whatever the fuck I want to do right now. I can go fight mobs if I don't feel like paying attention to farming. I can farm if I don't feel like paying attention to fighting mobs. I can build if I don't feel like farming. It's got all of that Rust feeling to it. And I have to acknowledge it when I see it because it is being competently done. It's a little bit third party and low rent and janky and third worldish and stuff. It is kind of like that. But no, the developers have a very solid vision here. They absolutely do. I like what I see here. It's weird. I don't know if I'll be able to stay. I wasn't able to stay last time. I went back to once human for like a day or something like that. But yeah. You know, I think I might mix a drink. I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to get some vodka. I'll be right back. With myself most of the bottle of vodka. I love myself. I'm such a good person to myself. Yes. 3, 4, 5, finger death punch. Let's go. I need to have some beans tonight. I kind of want bacon and beans. Sounds pretty good, you know. This bacon is pretty good now. Yeah, this bacon's pretty old now. I think I better eat it. Is there like an expiration on bacon if it's frozen? No, you can freeze this meat for a long period of time. It's okay, totally fine. I just need to defrost it. I'll cook it in the fucking microwave when I eat dinner. I'll have some beans. I'll have some bacon, refried beans and bacon. That'll be fucking amazing. Gotta mix this drink. 2, 3, 4, 5. love that straw. Oh wait, maybe I see it. Do I see it? No, I don't see it. No, I don't see that straw. No, fucking annoying. But whatever. Oh, I did not mix that. Just drinking pure vodka. Oof. There you go. A little bit better. So now I need young birch paper. The game looks really good. Can I bump it further? It's getting better frames than it did. Switch it to remastered, but keep the shadow range and the tessellation at medium. Apply. Game's playing well. I mean, on remastered, it is looking better. It looks better, but it lost a lot of frames. It lost 50 frames. I can't do remastered. It's too high. Wow, the game's going to look good in a couple of years. Ultra. Balanced. I'm unbalanced, am I? No, I want to try quality. And then medium for shadow and tessellation. And we'll leave all the rest of it on. There we go. That's like what I was on before. A little bit more quality DLSS. Game looks really good. So right now I'm currently trying to pay upkeep. I can go in his base. Oh, I can. Yeah, who cares? Because it's like a PvE base. This guy didn't even put anything down. It's cool you can do window walls. I actually really like that. But I would prefer better windows than that. Because it's a PvE base. Okay, we're going to build... oh no, I'm going to go see the altar. And I'm going to pay upkeep, which is this stuff. Good. And this stuff, which is that. Now I've got 22 hours of decay. Which, yeah, I don't mind paying that upkeep. But I might lose the base eventually. Which sucks. So I don't know if I'll keep loot here. Or, well, yeah, I will. I'll keep loot here. I don't mind. If I play the game as a main, who cares? It's a beautiful game sometimes. It reminds me of Bellwright in some ways, but it looks better. Look at that shadow. It looks fucking good. There's like a tree in the sun that's like really tall. And it's like casting this beautiful shadow. Look at that fucking shadow. That's pretty good. Like really complex for, you know, they're getting complex now. It's fucking sweet. Shadows never used to look that good. These are plants. Ooh, I can't wait for the winter to end. I like this stupid game. I'm just gonna accept that I like this game. I really love this stupid game. Oh, birch paper. Here we go. I need that for upkeep, and then I need stone. I want to get like 4 or 5 days in the upkeep before I build any further, so I can just, you know. And I'm starting to see that why they would want to build in a PvP realm, because anything that helps you mine more. But the more I do it, the better I get. I wish I could move that really bad, that loot thing, because I can't see it ever. It's fucking annoying. Damn it. Oh yeah, it's Z. I like this more than Mortal. I could stay here longer than Mortal. It's it's got that Mortal feel to it. Big world.
your toes, a simple but rich crafting system, loads of content to explore across areas, equipment, combat skills, and spells, a responsive and flexible combat system, multi-step ritualistic magic with plenty of hidden effects, and you can play either solo or cooperatively online and or with split screen. Yeah, this is going to be great, hands down, without a question. I really like the first game, and this is looking just even better. Cannot wait. Under a Rock is a survival title that I just recently learned about, and I'm so glad I did because I love the way this thing looks. So the basic rundown is this is a procedural open world survival crafting game for 1 to 10 players. You're going to explore a mysterious, colorful island populated by exotic creatures, oversized wildlife, and curious natives, unveiling its secrets, building a base, surviving hostile environments, and even more dangerous nights. The whole thing is set in the early 19th century, with you playing as an explorer stranded in a strange world, navigating dark caves, underwater environments, and a vast, diverse overland, all filled with unique challenges, enemies, and resources. There's the typical assortment of crafting, building, harvesting, farming, fishing, exploring, and fighting. There will be base building with a large variety of assets to make your dream cottage, home, village, or even a city. In fact, they say that there's no limit to the base size, which is pretty interesting. And you will fight, tame, breed, and even ride a variety of the game's creatures. Any of those tamed, in fact, actually have useful mechanics benefiting you in exploration and combat and even in base management and cooking. Beyond that, I mean, hey, I think this game looks cool. Like, I like the visuals, pretty appealing to me. So there you go, Under a Rock. Next up here is a game that totally wasn't inspired by Horizon. Nope, not at all. This is a super original, brand new idea with a world setting and character designs pulled directly out of the imaginations of its developers. No, if it's a Horizon spinoff, right? Like, but no matter the inspiration, Light of Motorum actually looks decent enough for me to want to give it a go. Also, to be honest, with how Sony has been canceling its live service games left and right recently, the Horizon MMO has already been axed. There's a decent chance that the Horizon survival game that they're making, that Guerrilla's making, that might get canceled as well, in which case this is going to be our next best option. So Light of Motorum is an open world survival crafting game with action combat, set in a world reclaimed by nature and ruled by giant mechanical beasts. Players will explore a variety of landscapes, uncover ancient secrets, and forge bonds with powerful mech animals, totally original dino-like robots. Some key features include a seamless open world where you traverse grasslands, deserts, forests, and mountains. There's a variety of weapons you'll use in action combat versus a range of mechanical foes. This looks very Monster Hunter-ish in that capacity. You'll also be fighting alongside mech animals, little companions, over 100 to collect with unique designs and roles that will aid you in battle. Survival crafting mechanics, you got base building and management, unpredictable weather systems, invasions, and there will be co-op play as you can group up with other players at any time. For as much as it is clearly a Horizon knockoff, I will check this thing out. Black Frost is another one absolutely worth keeping an eye on. This is the sequel to The Long Dark, an indie darling and much acclaimed game. While the original was single player and narrative focused, Black Frost takes that foundation and adds on to it with a full-on survival co-op experience.
See, this is that cold stuff. This is that Frostpunk stuff I just talked about. Skip it.
Here, first up is Rooted, the post-apocalyptic survival game that I've been hearing about for a few years.
You know, I'm thinking maybe I should try Deadside because I saw some good stuff in Deadside. I've been seeing some Rust players play Deadside lately. I don't know anything about Deadside. Don't know really what it's like. I bought Duckside lately because I was like, if I do a Deadside game, I might as well do Duckside. Duckside might be pretty good. But I don't think you can main it. That's the real problem.
Now, every bit of gameplay that I've seen does seem interesting. I think this looks neat, but I've got no clue how close or not this is to actually launching. Last time I saw it, it was still in alpha testing, and it seems very likely that it could still be a long ways away from release, but maybe we will hear otherwise this year. They have been running tests periodically, though, from what I can tell, so it is something that you could get your hands on and play in the early stages if you manage to get an invite. Stormforge is this rather unique-looking survival title. The art style and visuals certainly set it apart from some others. I mean, they are going really hard on this, kind of this like hand-drawn comic book direction. And while I suspect this might be a turnoff to some people, I appreciate the decision and the dedication to it. At least it's something different, right? They actually are evidently planning to release this year, so if you like how this looks, definitely keep an eye out. And then there is Ark 2, which, I mean...
Ark 2!
Maybe this is happening.
Maybe.
Ark is such a strange phenomenon. This game is simultaneously something that is never spoken about in any of the online...
Yeah, nobody ever talks about Ark. It's weird.
But I understand at the same time, it is pretty darn popular. I mean, lots of people play this game. But with the development studio's ever-growing list of shady moves and decisions, I just really don't know what to think about the sequel. Like, apparently, they were already supposed to have launched Arc 2, but couldn't get the funding to continue its development, so instead they decided to shut down the official servers of the first game, repackage it, and sell it again, but with a fraction of the content, then later asking players to have to re-buy that content that they
I'm not doing
had
Arc.
access to in the first game, but couldn't play on the official servers. Now, they could play on private servers and whatnot, but nevertheless, like, it's just all crazy. I might be butchering, like, the explanation and
no, you didn't.
Here, but it was
no, you didn't. You got it right.
So at this point, yeah, I don't know, maybe Arc 2 happens. I'm not counting on it, but hey, I mean, I guess
no, Arc 2 will happen. It just won't be good.
Paycheck for that trailer.
Arc 2 will happen, or they wouldn't be talking about it.
Give here is to some of the currently active
Arc 2 will happen.
Games that are probably getting major updates and or a full 1.0 release sometime this year.
They've been
now,
talking about
it. Titles is very long, but just some that are at the top for me personally. So Enshrouded, this was probably one of my favorite games full stop last year. It's been getting fairly regular updates and is expected to be receiving even more in 2025. I've already done a few playthroughs, really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to going again at their next major update. Valheim is also an all-time favorite, even though the pace of updates for this one has been rather slow. I cannot deny the amount of charm, wonder, and immersion that the game delivered on, and definitely when 1.0 happens, I will be diving back in. And then there's Project Zomboid. This is just such a unique and interesting survival game.
They never talk about Rust. Fucking Rust is the best survival game of all time. Yeah, Rust is the greatest survival game of all time.
And moments here on YouTube. It's kind of strange though, because the game's been in early access for well over 10 years. Not that it really matters. Like
he's not even gonna mention Rust, and I just don't really understand that.
This game is much beloved as it in whatever official version state it is in.
I don't understand that.
All of these games great already, and they are likely only going to be getting better throughout the course of 2025. Good stuff. All right, so there you go. That about does it for our look at some of the new survival titles planned and potentially coming in 2025. Lot to look forward to here. Hope you enjoyed the list. Let me know if there's anything that I missed in the comments below. Anything else for me to keep an eye on. Always happy to hear about and learn about new games, but that does it for today. Thank you as always for watching. See you all next time. Take it easy.
Legal experts are warning of a constitutional crisis, as the Trump administration hints it may ignore a federal judge's ruling.
You know, I think I don't want to go back to political yet. I want to do the new world news.
Some merges are finally happening. A lot of you have been asking for it, and we are getting various merges, but not necessarily the ones that people
that you want.
There is at least a certain degree of controversy surrounding them. So we'll dig into that, and then in the coming days, I have an in-depth video on the new OPR map. So first, an overview of the merges that are happening. Taurus, Asterion, Andrometus, and Siren are going into Aries. Apus, Phoenix, and Sagitta are going into Draco, all that is EU, and Aru is going into Nisa. We'll get back to that. In US,
Bellatrix in Elnath is becoming Aquarius.
East, Carthasia is going into Hudson Land, and Arctica as well as Kalahari are going into Rosa. Also, Kenaland and Samara get merged into Pangaea. And as the last US East merge, Marama gets merged into Valhalla. In US West, Bellatrix and Elnath get merged into Aquarius. In SA East, Persia gets merged into Alkide. And in AP Southeast, Pisces gets merged into Cerberus. Now, before we go into more detail about these merges, let's talk about the exact process that's going to be happening here. There's going to be a downtime on the 18th of February with the servers restarting for retiring worlds. Character creation and transfers on those retiring worlds will then be disabled, and wars will be cancelled as well as refunds on retiring worlds. So that is kind of a bridge.
You know, I think the big difference between a good game and a bad game now is an economy. If you don't have an economy on your game, if it's not like a real one, you aren't doing well. Like, you don't have a good MMO. If they're like, like, to me, the economy is what's keeping me here at this game, because I know that there's a good market in the nearby town. and that makes it so much better for me. Mortal was like that. I was able to do Mortal because I know that it has like at least a working economy. I wouldn't call it a good one, but like a working economy. And that made it a lot easier for me to be there. And like if I know that I can use the fruits of my labors to get whatever I want from an auction house, I'll play your game. Like New World. New World's economy is amazing. You know, that's the only thing that's good about it, really. Well, no, I'm sorry. Combat's really good, and so are the graphics, and so is the music, and so like New World's a really good game, but they keep mishandling it, and I can't play it all the time. It's something I just can't play it all the time. It takes sometimes 4 months of just waiting sometimes before I want to play that game again because it's not something it's not a game I can play every day because you can't live in that game. You can only just grind. That's it. That's all. You can live in it. You can live in it grinding, but you can't self-express in the game. Self-expression is why we wanted to do video games, I think. That's why Rust is so good. You can self-express, you know, however you want. You can fire off fireworks at night when you want. You can, you know, you can like build a castle. You can do whatever you want in Rust, like pretty much. It requires work and mats and time and all that stuff, but you can do whatever you want basically. You can't fly off into the, you can't dig and you can't fly off into, well you can fly off into the air, but you can't fly off into the universe, you know. But you can pretty much do everything else.
And between the 18th and the 20th.
New World was close, and I'm liking what I'm hearing about base building in World of Warcraft, because New World, if they want to compete with World of Warcraft, they'll have to add base building, and I think they do. I think they need to get rid of the town system and evolve it into not a New World Eternum, but a New World Survival, where, you know, maybe there's a cataclysm that happens to the world and you need to build a base now in a weird zone somewhere that's zoned for it. And like my favorite place is Brimstone, where the fucking where the cactus stuff is. And I would build there. And who cares if they can't see? Like, I don't need it to be more than a signal that my base is there, and then they can come look at what the base looks like if they're curious. But they don't need to see the base. I don't need it to be in the world. I need to live in the world with a base, and I think their tech can do that. I think their tech can immediately layer me when I come close to the base, and then I'm no longer in the world. I'm just in my base. The minute that I leave the layer, I'm back in the world, and I can go back to farming and all that stuff. And so then it feels like, and I can raise cattle there, and I can, you know, I can brew mead, and I can, you know, I can throw parties if I want, like Rust. Like Rust, we used to actually literally throw parties. We would throw dance hall parties with the DLC props. Rust was a social experiment that I've never, you know, like, you know, they whine and cry that there will never be a game like Star Wars Galaxies, but there is a game like Star Wars Galaxies. It's Rust. It's the only game like Star Wars Galaxies. Rust is the only game like Star Wars Galaxies. EVE Online is the other one. There's 3. Ultima Online still holds that title, sort of, and by rote, I think all the other survival games where you can build is like that too. DayZ, Scum, Ark, Valheim, but I mean, in Rust, like up to hundreds of people can see your base and what it looks like. I don't know what they need to do, but they need to make a lifestyle thing where you're like living in the game.
The 5th place on Returning Worlds.
WoW is about to do it. WoW is about to drop a really comprehensive, like home, you know, base, or not base building, but you know, home, player housing. And I think the idea of player housing is actually quite antiquated. I can't believe they're actually doing it. I can't believe Blizzard is doing player housing, because player housing is boring. Player housing has nothing to do with the world. It's you going back to town, to a place in the town that you own. That's great. I have that in this game. I can rent inside the town if I want, just like, you know, just like Skyrim or whatever. I can rent like a town, or I can even get I can buy an apartment like Skyrim in every town in the fucking world or whatever. But what makes it compelling is you can build a base and self-express in the base, and then leave your base to go to the market or whatever. And this game ended up being having more depth than New World, which is just why, fucking why. I mean, I know why, but it's just like, but it's just not. It's not why that Quinfall's so good. It's why was New World so bad? Because it's weird. Like, I think a part of it is there's not a whole lot of reason to play New World. There's like not a whole lot of reason. If you've seen the grind to 725 like 5 to 10 times, what else is there to do? Buying trophies? Yeah, that's cool, but you're already bored of the game. Why would you buy trophies to upgrade your ability to? I mean, I would buy trophies for crafting. Yeah, crafting trophies are fucking bomb, and I like that they're there in New World. They're fucking dope. But I mean like, and the trophies are the end game, and I thought that was acceptable at a time, but no, now it's a mix of trophies and a base. You need the trophies to apply to the base. Now they did that. They let you live in any city in the game, but that's boring to me, and it doesn't feel like you're actually living in the city, and people can't come visit your house or anything like that. But in Rust they can. In Rust they can come visit your house, and do. And sometimes they kill you. I mean, most of the time they kill you, you know? So, like, you know, and that's it. That's what I need in my games. I need my little tyrant castle fort. It's like when you're a little boy, you need a pillow fort that you know isn't going to last forever, but boy, you have a lot of fun while you're there, you know? It's kind of what I need. I need my pillow fort. And then I need to be able to buy the materials to make the fucking pillow fort. And if I snowball off of the PvP, I need to be able to sell those materials on a market. Rust failed at that, but New World didn't. Well, I mean, New World did. They all fail at that. I think Rust does, or sorry, Mortal didn't, but Rust and like they all have failures at certain things. They all do things badly sometimes. Like Rust has no longevity because it resets every month. So no matter what, you can't keep progress longer than 30 days, which is so self-defeating. I would have edited it out of the game so long ago, but they embraced it. They think that that's actually good structure. It's good structure for the developer, yeah, but it's not good structure for the gamer. He loses all of his goddamn work. I'm scared Rust will come in and kill all of these games, just like World of Warcraft did when it first came in. Because if Rust 2 comes in with both terraforming and all the sociality and stuff and all the mini games that it currently has right now,
option to transfer themselves to another eligible.
Rust 2 kind of scares me. Because if it's just, you know, I don't think we're going to get a Gary's Mod 2. I think we're going to get a Rust 2, and I think it's going to be amazing. And it's going to outdo all of these games so badly that I can't dedicate very much. I play 4 or 5 of them at a time at a lackadaisical level because I don't think that this progress means much to my overall, which is kind of dumb. It felt like it in Rust, but it didn't feel like that in almost any of these other games, which is why I still maintain that Rust is the best. Rust, Eve, and FFXI, right in that order. Rust, Eve, and FFXI are the greatest games ever made. Because Rust lets you live in the world and a base that you built like a hermit crab. You can go look at other people's hermit crabs. You can poke holes in their hermit crab shell, and you can steal their hermit crab food. And that's the, you know, that hermit crabs are really what humans are, kind of. We're hermit crabs. We're like antlions. We wait for somebody to come along, and then we jack their house. You know, it's kind of fucked up, but that's what we do. And like, you know, that's who we are. And Rust was really good about that, and so was Eve. But FFXI proves that an endless grind, even in the cities, is something that you can find appealing even for. I've been playing FFXI since 2003. What is that? That's 22 years. I'll probably keep playing it for like another 20 years because it doesn't matter no matter how much work you put into this game. And it's not like it hands out like bonus gains in a bad way. It hands out bonus gains the way that Rust does. Like, oh, here's 72,000 gil, and you're like, oh my god, that's so much money. And it's the same thing as 900 scrap or whatever. You're like, oh my god, 900 scrap is so much money, and it is. And when you get it, you're like, oh my god, I have 900 scrap right now, and you kind of freak out. This game does that. Final Fantasy 11 will drop money on you, and when it happens, you're like, oh my god, I just made 240,000 gil, or Eve, and I'm beginning to understand that the economy. I like the economy in Quimfall. I like the little auction houses in the particular towns. I think that's brilliant, actually. And so now, like, the economy has fascinated me. So then it's okay for me to build a base here and try to make a living here, if it can keep me entertained, which a lot of these games can't do. You know, I think Minecraft was actually a really good game because you could kind of live there, you know? But a lot of these games, they don't understand that living there isn't really that easy. Like 76, I really love 76 and I played it a lot. But you can't live on 76. There's this point where you either have to go out and grind more XP to keep moving your character forward, or sit at home and twiddle your thumbs and maybe make your base better. There's not this like, oh god, I need to explore, I need to find out what's out there, I need to know what the island is like over there, I need to know what's going on. There's a lot of patho in 76 if you know how to do patho. There's more than any other game that I can think of. Even EVE Online, 76 has more patho than any game I've ever played. Like, now you might get kind of tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again like I did, but no game had that kind of patho.
Into another server.
Play and find out.
On Tuesday the 25th, access to retiring worlds will be disabled. All characters and companies on retiring worlds will be moved to the new homeworlds. Territories on the retiring worlds will be refunded to the owning companies, and the reimbursement.
So, okay, I got the information that I needed from this, unfortunately, and I don't want to go back to politics, so we're not going to. I'm not going back to politics. I'm kind of fucking tired of them. Elon shows his ass in a press conference.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. I got an awesome one for you today. Nobody said on the campaign trail, because it would be mental. Hey, if Trump wins,
I've never.
you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go in there illegally and unconstitutional.
What is secular? Isn't that religious? It's like religious talk, isn't it? Isn't secular religious? What does secular mean? I'm actually not really sure what that word means. No religious or spiritual bias. No, he's an atheist. Okay, because I'm like, okay, yeah, secular talk, yeah.
Work around Congress.
Okay, fire it up. Yeah, do it. Secular right, sounds good. Yeah, no religion, bitch. No religion. I don't like your religion.
Someone for you.
Bad religion. You understand? When I look for images of bad religion, you're going to see it. Yep, there it is. Fuck your religion, bitch. Fuck your religion. You understand? It's not that I don't believe in God, or that I'm not an agnostic or whatever. It's not like that. I am a very spiritual person, but fuck your religion and the opiate of the masses. Fuck your religion. Fuck Christianity. Fuck Judaism. Fuck fucking whatever Jewish scripture and Christian thought. Fuck fuck all of your fucking Allahs and your fucking your Zeuses. And I'm sorry, but yeah, the religions, they weren't too good. They weren't too good for us. I'm terribly sorry, they won't. Oh, did I DC? Oh, I did. I DC'd. Oh, no. There is a problem with my stream key. I'm going to have to stop my video and restart.